And this vase I love. I've used this vase. What in the world? Would somebody get that phone for me, please? Welcome, friends, to another episode of Blossoms and Bourbon. My name is Mark, and I'm the owner here at Creative Occasions. It's a pleasure to welcome you to my workroom. I gotta tell you, this episode is one that I have been excited about for a while. Because in the workroom one day, I got out this vase. It was a small vase with a narrow opening at the top, and one of my designers said, "Oh, that's a really pretty vase, but you can't do anything with it." And I paused for a minute. I said, "Oh, what do you mean?" And she said, "Well, because you can't get any flowers in it." And I thought, what a great episode that would be to show how you can use just a very minimal number of flowers in vases that have small openings. We've talked a little bit before about using bottles and things like that, in groupings in particular. But I thought this might be kind of fun to do some more creative approaches to just really simple flowers, things that anybody can do at home. So first up, we're going to use this little short vase. It came with this beaded detail already on the vase, so we're going to let that play as a part of the design and part of the decorative element of it. I'm going to cut that particular Gerber a little bit short. I'm going to use some lily grass and a decorative pin. The pin I'm using is kind of a silvery color to kind of blend with the colors of the beads on the vase. I'm just going to cut probably the majority of the length of the pin off, leaving half an inch or so. And what we're going to do is put the lily grass down in the water. I'm going to loop it over into the center of the Gerber, and then we're going to tie it or just pin it in place with that little bit of that pin, just so there's kind of a little bit of a decorative accent for that. We'll do another Gerber, a little bit taller. We can do a similar approach with that. Lily grass. Another pin. And of course, the reason I'm cutting most of the pin off of these is because if it's left too long, it's going to go right through the head of the flower. And that would not be good. So again, this is just a little, way to make it a little more decorative, make it a little more interesting, to have a little more visual bang with the arrangement. So there, that almost creates a heart. Maybe we could do that for Valentine's Day or something. Anyway, there's one really simple approach. Love this vase. It's always just been a favorite of mine. And again, I'm going to add a little bit of a decorative element to the neck of this vase with some twine, because I want it to be kind of a natural looking element. So we're basically just going to twist it around until we get a nice kind of thick binding of the wire of the twine up there. I did leave a little tail hanging out here that I've kind of caught with the twist as I was going around. And what that's going to do is give me something to tie it off with. So, just going to tie that off. Now we've got a little decorative element for the vase. I know already in planning for this that I want this to kind of have a sort of a sea element about it. So I pulled a couple of seashells and the glue gun. And we're going to just put a little spot of glue on that twine. And hook the shell to it. All right. Now, I don't think I'm going to do the second one, but you could, you know, build up on that. Perhaps if you had a shell that had a hole drilled in it, that would be an easier way to apply the twine. Anyway, that I think is going to work nicely. Now, this really simple design, one leaf. This foliage is called Aurelia. We've used it before, also called Fatsia, F-A-T-S-I-A. It's a great foliage because literally look what you can do with one. And then we're going to take some sunflowers. We're going to cut them short. And sunflowers, the thing about them in using an application like this is the stems are so big on sunflowers that you very often can't use more than one or two in a design like this. And that is entirely okay. I'm going to take a little bit of the length off that. So the blooms are actually helping hold the leaf down, which is a good thing. And I've got some more lily grass. This time, not that we're going to twist it over and apply it to the flowers, but it's just going to be an accent to kind of add some movement to the design. There we go. And just so you know, sunflowers, because of how fibrous that center of the bloom is, you easily could, if you like that approach with the pin, where you put decorative pins. I've done that in sunflowers before. It would be easy enough to do with this. You could also actually pierce the center of the sunflower and feed things through it. Have done that before too, so it can almost become another element of the mechanics. That is all we need with that, people. Very simple. And that's, again, what I think is so nice about these designs. They don't have to be complicated. They don't have to be very involved and super structured. This one, again, not a very big opening, so we're not going to get a ton of product in here. These are some forage sticks. And because I love sticks, I just love having them in design work, I thought that would be pretty cool. But I also thought that the sticks would kind of help mimic the shape of the flower I want to use. So I'm using Delphinium in this, and while I've got a whole pack of Delphinium here, I'm only going to use 3 stems. And the 3 stems are going to, as I said, mimic the shape of the sticks, the line, and this arrangement is all about line. As is often the case with Delphinium, sometimes the little individual florets get a little bent and broken. And that, I believe, is all we need for that. You will notice that with the Delphinium, I do have it kind of stair-step down in between the sticks. This one's the tallest, next highest, and coming down a little bit further. And the blooms on this one come all the way down to the neck of the vase. So it's a very nice, simple, clean look that would be great, you know, on your island when you're having people over, in your kitchen. You could use this in your powder room on the sink where you sometimes don't have a lot of room. So I've got one more I want to show you. So this vase is one of my favorites. I have used this before at my home with just a couple of branches of cherry blossom or crabapple or something in it in the springtime. And so I thought it would be kind of fun, again, to use for this episode today. I love the shape of this curly willow. So the first thing I knew that I wanted to use was the curly willow in it because it had that kind of curve at the top. The curly willow came in not quite long enough to fit down all the way in the bottom of the vase. So I fixed that by just putting this little cross piece in there to kind of hold it at the level where I wanted it. Okay? So, you know, if things aren't quite working out the way that you want them to, make an adjustment and make it happen. So what I'm gonna do then is just add a couple of leaves, aspidistra foliage. And this is kind of a cool trick that we've done before to make aspidistra change the look of the shape a little bit. Give it a snip along the spine, the spline, 2, and then we're gonna actually insert those into the water after you kind of twist and manipulate them a little bit so you get some curves with it, okay? Now essentially what that's gonna do is help serve as the mechanic to help hold the flowers up. And the flowers are gonna be these gorgeous purple iris. I'm gonna use 2 because we just don't need any more than that. And the point of this is to show you what we can do with 1 or 2 flowers, right? All right. 1. 2. What do you think? See, I really like this. And sometimes less truly is more. I think that's part of the fun of that. And so I've obviously had that conversation with my designer who felt like that these vases couldn't be used because you couldn't get flowers in them. But I hope that you'll be encouraged to try that at home too, when you're pulling out vases from your cupboard or just old bottles or whatever. And don't feel like that you have to have a crazy elaborate design. Use 1 or 2 blooms that you maybe forage from your yard or from the grocery store and make something lovely that you enjoy. Add a little flourish to it. All right? So I hope that you enjoyed that. As much as I know I'm going to enjoy this next part of the episode, which is the bourbon. The bourbon for today is called Statesman, and it's from the old Forrester Distillery in Louisville, Kentucky. I've been to Louisville a couple times, but have never actually been to this distillery. It is definitely on my list to be a part of the next time that we go back. Old Forester has several brands that actually have the same mash bill, the same sort of recipe with the grains that they use to make the product. However, Statesman is supposedly the sweetest and also a little bit of a fruity essence to it. And because lately my palate's been leaning more towards the wheated bourbons that are a little bit sweeter, not quite as harsh or peppery as some of the ryes, I thought this might be a good choice. So we're gonna give it a whirl. Maybe Jason will even like it, you never know. It does have a good color in the bottle. It's a little bit lighter. It's not as dark as some that we've seen. Statesman, Old Forester. Yeah, definitely good color. You do get a little bit of like a clovey, cinnamon kind of, you know, again, that's very common, I think, with bourbons is you get baking spices when you do a smell. I was reading some notes about this bourbon before we taped the episode, and there was someone who said that they had notes of devil's food in their smell of this. I don't know. I don't smell anything that smells like devil's food. Oh, that is good. Um, yeah. It's a very different kind of sweeter, fruitier. It's not quite as smooth, I will say, but definitely has the notes of cinnamon, the baking spices, a little peppery. So there's a little bit of a rye essence to it, but it's not harsh like some are. Maybe a little bit of a citrus element about it. Yeah, that's very enjoyable. I also did, in doing some reading about this, found that some people feel that Old Forester has kind of a funky aftertaste that it leaves in your mouth. I'm not getting that in particular. Not really sure what that is a reference to, but I find this very pleasant. So, Old Forrester Statesman, I hope you'll give that a try. That about wraps up this episode, you guys, and I'm so appreciative that you took your time to be with us. Please remember to like and subscribe. If you want to be notified of future episodes, hit that little bell icon, and then you'll be notified when we put up something new. So, for now, and until next time, cheers to you and to flowers every day. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye. That's them calling. And apparently they're very persistent. Oh, Lordy.